My interest has always been the same. I feel like I've never really changed much of anything. In fact, I realized about 25 years ago, this has changed, but it was a 25-year period, my desk had not moved more than like 20 feet at MIT. They'd actually reconstructed the building, and I was still in the same place. I've lived in the same place in Central Mass, about 30 miles that way, a little closer to Boston, for now. It always amazes you when we think back to years. It's getting about 38 years now. And my interest has always been the nature of systems, and that's a bad word, so I'll elaborate just a little. For most people it means computer systems or, management control systems, but I didn't mean it in that way at all. It's more like a family. We've all been around families that have worked, and unfortunately a lot of families that don't work very well, and where there's a lot of suffering generated in the family. But no one intends that. It's not like people wake up in the morning and say, I wonder if I can inflict some suffering on other members of my family. And yet consistently that often happens. So I just use that to illustrate. When I say system, that's what I mean. A way of looking at our social reality particularly, although it's not in any way limited to our social reality, that helps us orient towards how we collectively might create what none of us actually want. To me, that more or less characterizes the state of the world. Really. Go find somebody who's working to, warm the climate, or who's working to produce 1,200,000,000 or so people who don't have access to clean drinking water, or who's working to destroy ecosystems, and on and on and on and on. So whether it's very local, like a family is something we can kind of see and touch and feel, or whether it literally is us as 6 point whatever billion people on the planet, this simple reality that again and again we find ourselves collectively producing outcomes that actually nobody really wants. It's the simplest way I can say that's what I've always been interested in. And not just in an intellectual sense, but obviously how that could be different. So since that always led me to understand, or try to understand, systems, interdependence, flux, the continual unfolding of things, you can, I'm sure, in this room, readily appreciate the kind of intellectual synergy with Buddhism. In some sense, Buddhism is, Bernie said, are you a Buddhist? I don't have a clue how to answer that question. I think if you're a serious student of mind, you're a Buddhist. Right? If you're a serious student of interdependence, you're a Buddhist. If you're a serious student of, I guess the traditional word would be suffering, I've kind of redefined suffering in a particular way there, how we collectively, consistently produce outcomes that none of us truly want, the consequence of which is immense suffering for all forms of living beings, then I guess that makes me a Buddhist, although I'm not really into labels very much.